Morning, Andy. Good to see you once again. A lot's happened since we last spoke, hasn't it? We were just about to go into the 49er medal races when we last spoke. So pick it up from there. What happened?
Yeah, that was an important day because the IOC president, Thomas Bach, was coming into town, coming down from Paris to look at the sailing. And actually, I ended up being his on-board boat commentator. But I can tell you about that another time.
Right.
Unfortunately, his TGV high-speed train arrived late, and he didn't get to see two amazing skiff races. The men was the less remarkable, but still looked beautiful in the images. We finally saw the sailors stretch their legs and some proper twin trapezing, which I thought looked fantastic. And Diego Botin and Florian Triple, coached by my Road to Gold partner, Hamish Wilcox, won the gold at a canter. They won the medal race and crossed the line in the lead and took the gold medal relatively comfortably. The Irish just missed out. They crossed the line. They thought they were over. It was marginal as to whether they were or not. They went back to restart, and that really doomed them. And it opened the door for USA to get the bronze behind the young Kiwis. I call them the McKiwis, Isaac McCarty and William Mackenzie, taking a silver to follow on from the gold. The silver, the gold, and the silver that Pete Bowling and Blair Tuke had won at the previous three games. So that's four in a row for New Zealand. So that was great. But all of that was nothing on what we saw in the women's skiff, where, again, we don't always see this, but the gold medalists in waiting are just about to cross the finish line in the lead of the last race, which is all very congruent and makes perfect sense for TV, which is great. That's one thing we should say. But there they were. They had gone past the French. They were in the lead, and the Dutch, Adele van Aanholt and Annette Duits, went to cross the finish line. There was no one there to greet them. They'd gone to the wrong place. And so had the Americans just behind them. And meanwhile, the Swedes, who were their closest rivals for the gold medal, charged across the actual finish line. They turned left and went to the further distant line, which was the finish line, and crossed in first. And I think for a moment, the Swedes thought they might have done enough to displace the Dutch for gold. Anyway, they celebrated because they knew they had a medal. The Dutch, realizing their mistake, regathered themselves and managed to scrape across the line in third. But if they had got across the line any later than that, if the Kiwis had overtaken them, just that one extra place would have meant that they had lost the gold. But you could see the coach, Kai Bocker, getting out his sailing instructions from his dry bag and having a read of the sailing instructions. And I must admit, I had to read them as well, because my fear was that by not having gone through the leeward gate, maybe they hadn't fulfilled the terms of the course. But actually, all they needed to do was to leave the last left-hand downwind gate mark to port, and that was sufficient. So even though they went on a detour, if you do the old piece of string routine, when they unwound themselves, they had still completed the course. But that was the longest 5 or 10 minutes of their lives, and that just added to the drama. And just to show that Adele van Aanholt has a sense of humor, she made a little video on Instagram later that evening, and it said, "Just a message to all the sailors still to complete your racing this week. Read the sailing instructions."
I tell you, I watched watched both of the races. I felt sick when I saw that happen, and I was just sitting there in my office watching it, because, like you say, and like she said, it's happened to us all in some form or another. But just I can't imagine the sickness they must have felt at the time, thinking there was gold. Have we just blown a gold medal? I mean, it was just incredible. But there we go. That was that was pretty dramatic stuff. But and am I right in saying that the medal races are double points? Is that right? They score for double points in the medal race?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So they only won they won their medal, I think I'm right in saying, by 1 point. So it was like half a place effectively that they won it by.
I think it was 2 points, but that is effectively one place. Right. So that's why one more boat going past them in that debacle would have relegated them to silver. So yeah, that was very, very close indeed. And just to cap that off, the Swedes did take the silver, and the French, who'd started the day in gold, took the bronze. But I mean, the French weren't really expected to be in the medal hunt, but they'd put in some fantastic training. But that was such a fantastic story because both of them are mums of young kids, three daughters between the two of them, aged 3, 5, and 7. Apparently, their boyfriends had said that they would propose to them, provided that they got a medal, but only if it was a gold or a silver. And so Sarah Stayart, she crossed the line. Charlene Picon crossed the line. They celebrated, but then Sarah said to Charlene, "Oh, we only got a bronze. I suppose they're not going to propose to us." Anyway, they get back to the shore, and soon after they arrive, their boyfriends do get down on one knee. They propose. Everyone's happy. They got engaged on the same day, so they got a ring around their fingers as well as a piece of bronze medal around their necks. Absolutely lovely.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Well, I mean, that medal race was interesting, particularly as we say for the Dutch girls, because they survived that by having accumulated the points that they had along the way, hadn't they? But then when it came to the IQ foils, my understanding is that the medal race in the IQ foils is fundamentally different to that. Talk us through what happened there and why that's different.
Yes, well, just to give you the context of the skiffs, it's very most medal races that we have in the boat classes, most of the time the gold medal is wrapped up before the medal race is even run, which from a TV viewing perspective is pretty boring because you've just got someone sailing around the track knowing that they've already got the gold medal. It doesn't matter where they finish. That's quite boring. So the skiffs broke the rule this time. We had 7 out of 10 in the medal race in the men that could still win the gold. We have 5 out of 10 in the women that could still win the gold. I think that's the nature of these unstable, fickle conditions that we've had in Marseille, that it's been such a wide open racetrack. So that's to give you the context that sailing has to find a more interesting solution, a more engaging solution that keeps us on the edge of our seats. So the IQ foil, if you win qualifying, if you win the week, like Gray Morris of Australia did in the men, and Emma Wilson absolutely dominated the week for Great Britain with a massive points lead going into the final day. Well, her reward is that she gets a spot in the final, but her points advantage is scrubbed to 0. So she then waits out through the quarters and the semis that go on between the rest of the top 10 to decide who are going to be the 2 other riders that join Emma Wilson in the 3-medal final. So Emma Wilson's had a day or so to get used to the idea that at the minimum she's going to get a bronze medal to match the one she got in Tokyo 3 years ago. And then meanwhile, there are 2 others that have to fight it out to see if they're going to get that spot. So they have the benefit of going around the racetrack and getting their eye in on where the ley lines are, etc. Emma Wilson and Gray Morris don't have that opportunity to get their eye in, but at least they know they've got the spot. So anyway, Emma Wilson is leading around the first lap, and then comes out of the leeward gate. The other 2 are following her upwind. And Marta Maggetti, the Italian who was in 3rd, is first to break away towards the windward mark. And it looks like a thin ley line, and it's from a long way out. So has she got it right, or is she going to have to do 2 tacks, which for sure is going to put her back? And meanwhile, Sharon Cantor of Israel is in 2nd. She's the next to peel away. And Emma Wilson is the last to tap. And actually, as it turns out, that ley line call by Marta Maggetti was absolutely spot on. So 3rd goes to 1st, 2nd stays in 2nd, and 1st drops to 3rd. And so Emma Wilson never manages to catch up after that. And it's been the story of her last 2 or 3 years of dominating qualifying, getting the reward of getting in the final, but so often only ending up with the bronze and not being able to see it out for the gold. So she was distraught. She even brought up the question of, I can't do this much longer. This is not good for my mental health. And, it's caused a bit of a storm. But let's leave it there because we can come back to that later on in the week, and there's so much else going on, Matt.
Yeah, no, it does sound like, from what I've seen on social media as well, there's a lot of quite high profile people making comments about it at the moment, isn't it? It does seem to be one of the topics. But as you say, let's move on. Let's cover deal with the here and now. So what happened in the men's IQ foils?
In the men's IQ, well, Gray Morris went in knowing he got the spot, and he was up against Israel's Tom Reuveny and Netherlands' Luc van Opstelend, the recent world champion. Last year's world champion. So anyway, again, good race, interesting race, but it's Tom Reuveny who comes through, making it a gold medal for Israel to go with the gold medal that his coach won in windsurfing 20 years earlier at Athens 2004. Gray Morris dropped some gold to silver. Still, he was super happy, the 20-year-old. Really fun, engaging character, very entertaining. Very grateful for his silver, and Luc van Opstelend getting the bronze.
Good. So we haven't had any other medal races since then, have we? We've been seeing some of the straightforward fleet racing.
That's right. So let me update you with what's going on in the other fleets. We're 6 out of 10 fleet races through the Ilka dinghies, the lasers, as most of us might call them. And in the men, well, it's Matt Wern from Australia, the defending Olympic and reigning world champion, who's having a pretty good series. He's leading quite comfortably. Mickey Beckett, you would say he was his closest rival, the British sailor. A bit of a slow start, but a better day yesterday. He moves up to second, but still a bit of a points gap to Wern, his arch rival. And in the women, this is really windy and wavy yesterday, by the way. And Hannah Snellgrove, the British sailor, who is probably not really coming here with the expectation of a medal, but she is very tall and she's very fit. And by her own measure, she stands 5'13" and a half. And she won her first game. She ticked her bucket list ambition yesterday, of winning a race at the Olympics yesterday. And she won it by a country mile. And then she went and did it again. And okay, on the last start, she hit the, I don't know if she hit the pin or fouled other boats. She had to take turns off the line and ended up 14th. But, 2 firsts in one day moves her up to third. I mean, she was, I would say if she got into the medal race, that would be a great result for her. But here she is in the medal zone. Just ahead of her is Anne-Marie Rindam, the reigning Olympic and world champion, and then Marit Bouwmeester, the 3-time Olympic medalist, looking to get another gold. She's already got a silver, gold, and bronze from the previous 3 games, and at the moment she is sailing away with that competition as comfortably as Matt Wern is in the men's division.
That's amazing, isn't it? I mean, to stay at that level for so long, I mean, that's incredible.
And like the skiff women, the French skiff women, she's also a mother. She's a mother of 2-year-old Jessie. So the mums are doing really well at this regatta. In the world of marginal gains, is that the next detail that you have to think about? I mean, I can't imagine how they manage to be mums of young children and do everything that's required for an Olympic campaign. Quite phenomenal. Let me
carry on.
Sorry, Matt, go on.
Well, I was going to say that I watched some of that. I didn't see the Ilkas yesterday, but I was watching the 470s. I love watching the 470s. I still think that they're, for me, visually, I think as a sailor, I think they're still the best. Oh, well, there we go. The best boat, because you can really sort of connect with it. Maybe that's just because I'm an old git and a bit old fashioned, but you can see the effort that goes into a 470. It's incredible and great racing. Really enjoyed it. But anyway, tell us what happened in it.
Yeah, well, there's been so much going on. I haven't really tracked it that closely, but I'm delighted to see that the Japanese Keijo Okada and Miho Yoshioka are leading that quite comfortably at the moment. And the pre-event favourites in Spain are still very much in the hunt, but they're back in 5th, Jordi Janmar and Nora Brugman. I think there's a lot more to go in that. But at the moment, last year's world champions from Japan are at the moment looking like this year's Olympic champions. And Thomas Bach, the IOC president that I was on board with the other day, makes it very clear that we're looking a bit too European. The medals generally are a little bit too European. So, I feel like it's, we really need to de-Europeanize ourselves in the results. Well, So that gives us all reason to want Japan to do well there.
Yeah, well, they were, from what I saw, the racing yesterday, I mean, they were a class apart. I mean, what I loved about the racing, apart from the visual side of it, was very tactical. There was a lot going on. It was close racing, but they just seemed to have the ability to just, particularly on the upwind legs, they were just pointing that bit higher and going faster. And the Spanish couldn't match them, could they? And they were or have been the standout team for a while.
Yes, I still think we're going to see the Spanish rally, but they're going to need the Japanese to falter, which is the same as what we're seeing in the Ilkas. You know, unless Matt Wern or Marit Baumeister put foot wrong, it's going to be hard for anyone else to close the gap. And then the Nacras, well, that's sort of running to form because Ruggero Tita and Caterina Banti won 2 of the 3 races on their first day of competition. So the Italian favourites are leading there. And then our last one to get going gets going today, and that is the Formula Kite, the foiling kiteboarding, which is possibly my favourite of all of them. And we've never seen it in the games before. So let's see what that can deliver over the coming week.
Yeah. And so what's the next medal race that we're going to see?
You know what? I can't with certainty even say that, but I think that it must be the Ilkas. It's not. I'm thinking it's 3 days away. It's not today. It's not tomorrow. It's the day after that. I think will be that, and then it will be the 470s, and then it will be the Nacra sometime after that, and then we'll close with the kites.
Right. And what's the weather looking like? Any idea what the forecast is for the rest of the week?
Good day today. Reasonable breeze today. Next week looking quite shaky, I have to say.
As in light weather shaky?
Yes, yeah. I think yesterday what we saw on TV is probably as good as it's going to get. Right. It was a spectacular day, and you know, we got some fantastic stuff in the can yesterday. The kites only need about 5 knots of breeze to get going, and once they got 5 knots, they can do close to 30 knots of speed. So doesn't take much to get them going, but we do need that bit of breeze. Otherwise, the kites flutter to the water.
Right.
So anyway, I've got to run off to my morning meeting, Matt.
I've got to rig my boat because I've got my own Olympics going on here in Chichester Harbour. We got our RS 400. I think it's the last of the Southern Area Championships today. So yeah. So obviously huge stakes here. The TV hasn't arrived yet, but I'm sure they're going to turn up soon. So I better get ready for that.
What will you do today to make yourself proud, Matt? That's what you got to ask yourself. That Olympic,
not losing.
That Olympic dream is coursing through you. So
well, if you ask my crew, Ellie, the answer will be not losing it in the boat. That'd be an improvement for a start. It's all right weather today, but anyway, there we go. Great talking as always. Thanks for that, Andy. Really, really great update. And yeah, we'll speak in a little while with some more news.
Good luck on the water, Matt.
Thank you. See you later.